Chat, we are going to take a look at the catastrophic failure of the Apple Vision Pro. Huh? How many of you guys have heard about the Apple Vision Pro lately? Not. Okay. It could be something with the way I set up my sound. I'm sorry, guys. But at least you still get to see it. Okay, Desar, have a good night. I'm pretty sure they have marked. Yeah. Codeine? Embrace the pain. Alright, let's check this out.
The Vision Pro was gonna be the new iPhone. It was Tim Cook's master plan to take control of the world and begin a new era of virtual reality. Everybody was talking about it, buying in, excited to see what this future technological revolution would look like. But then fast forward a year and Apple has admitted the entire thing was a giant failure, with the company now—
Well, yeah. The goddamn thing cost $3,500. Like, I know Apple prices the shit out of their products, but the fact that they're charging 3 times the price of one of their fucking MacBooks for the Apple Vision Pro, which has 1/8 of the features at best? Right here. Oh, I'm blocking it. Hang on.
fast forward a year and Apple has—
Amber,
Still blocking it.
Sunday,
God damn it.
you should watch Real Mechanic Stuff reacting to money shifts. Those phenomena where the driver shifts down a gear instead of up while at speed, resulting in catastrophic overrev for engine and transmission. Thus the name, money shift.
Maybe. But, Eki, there's the price. $3,500 for that. Yeah. Like, literally 3 times the cost of their MacBooks, with 1/8 of the functionality.
admitted the entire thing was a giant failure, with the company now planning to completely discontinue the product. So how could this even happen? What went so horribly wrong? And why does nobody care about the Vision Pro anymore? Well, it quickly became apparent that once the novelty of the product wore off, it turned out that this new feature was just a farce from the get-go.
Now I don't use it every day anymore, and it's really, there's just not that many apps. Every time I see a new article about a couple new apps that came out, I would read that and be like, is there something else I can do? Because right now, not a lot.
Now as—
And here's the thing, VR headsets are designed for you to use in your home. It is something for you to use in your home to play games or go on like virtual walkarounds. It's not something for you to, like, Apple designed this with the intention of people just walking around the street wearing these fucking things. It was a dystopian ass fucking vision, to be sure, but that's what Apple was looking for. They wanted to see people just walking down the street, having their day, wearing their Apple Vision, which is dystopian and insane. And codeine? Not even the Nerve Gear. The Nerve Gear would have been better than this because that actually looked cool. They wanted this to replace the iPhone. God knows why. And they failed to realize that VR is not a production thing. People do, a big part of their marketing is you could be business-like. You can conduct business with the Apple Vision Pro. Like, you could have meetings and you could type up notes and etc., etc., etc.
Cheer 100 people said the same thing about cell phones back in the day, with people constantly staring down at the phone. But it's common now. These glasses will eventually reach that point. Just not soon.
You are correct there, Zep. It's basically where it needs to hit the point where they're not huge goggles. That's the fallacy. Is they're wearing huge ass fucking goggles and very limited battery life on them too. Once you can get this technology down into, like, the augmented reality glasses and stuff, that is more viable. as far as them trying to pull a Shadow's angles, Ready Player One seems more appropriate than SAO because SAO was too big for you to walk around with. But Ready Player One people did frequently. So yeah, I'd say somebody at Apple might have taken inspiration from Ready Player One. Absolutely.
We all know Apple has always marketed itself as a luxury brand. It targets customers who are willing to spend more on high quality, beautifully crafted and fashionable products. And they're usually worth it, be it the stylish iPhone, the portable iPad, or the stunning MacBook. Apple has established itself as a brand that offers devices.
Cheer 100 rent for brain cell.
Well, J10, you can't pay me. Shadows and Angles said it before I did, so you can't just pay me.
That integrate advanced technology with a satisfying user interface, all pioneered by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. All of this together justified a premium price tag and assured customers that what they were paying for was completely worth it. But unfortunately for Apple users, the functionality and design of the Vision Pro was never worth the cost. And that's exactly why those who bought the headset felt justifiably let down. The hefty price tag of $3,499.
That's insane. And Stephen Sanders, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't wear these while you're driving. If you wore them while you're driving, you'd get pulled over in a heartbeat and be written a ticket. In a heartbeat, because I'm pretty sure this would fall under the category of obstructed driver vision. Reese assured the argument could be made in court about this qualifying under obstructed vision in a court of law. Because the cameras that are projecting the outward view to you are not one-to-one for your eyeballs. There is latency. Even if it's some microseconds, there is latency. And there is like a uncanny valley feel from the reviews of it that I saw. It feels very uncanny valley. Look like using the pass-through feature. Not to mention, it projects your fucking eyes onto the lens, which looks creepy as fuck.
Should have guaranteed that the Vision Pro would outdo most of their other products. When you raise the bar, you have a standard to meet. However, it seemed Apple had forgotten to see if the product met the standards its consumers expected.
And Andrea, I'm pausing a lot, I know. Andrea, you're absolutely right. If I was not doing VTubing, I would have probably traded out to an Android phone by now, instead of the Apple. But because I'm VTubing, I kinda have to go with Apple. Because VTube Studio 100% works best with Apple's face detection. With their kit, with their IR kit. So that's why I use an Apple phone, because it works best with VTubing. That's the primary reason why I still have one. And probably why when I get a new phone, I probably will get another Apple, because I'll be continuing to be a VTuber. And iPhone just makes the best sense for it.
Especially compared to much cheaper versions like the Meta Quest and the new Ray-Ban Meta glasses. And this oversight had a much more damaging effect than they ever expected. The price of the Vision Pro could buy you a 16-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro with 36GB of RAM and 1TB of storage. The MacBook would not only provide 10 times more features, but it will last you a lifetime and provide you with...
Hey, I'm gonna up that number. It's not 10 times more features. I'd say the MacBook would provide you with 100 times or more features than the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro's usability was severely limited. In every review I saw, what you could do with the Apple Vision Pro was incredibly limited. It can't hope to compete even with the fucking iPhone. That's the thing. On a functionality standpoint, the iPhone beat it out. The iPad beat it out. So, this was and a lot of people were calling this out. This was a gimmick by Apple that didn't pan out.
with everything you need. There's no comparison. A MacBook just wins hands down on
Right,
practicality, features, and specs. And if you gave most people the option, they would choose the MacBook. Whereas the Vision Pro just seems like more of a gimmick these days. And although the MacBook can't match the
Was
Vision
from the very
Pro's
start.
capabilities, the Vision Pro's many shortcomings are leading to rumors that Apple will discontinue the product, because nobody seems to really be buying it. And whilst it is a hefty price tag, the pricing just doesn't match the features here. There were only about 12 compatible apps compared to the 3,000 apps on the iPad released in April 2010. Of the
There
12
you go,
compatible
like I said.
apps, it did not feature Netflix or even Spotify, which meant right off the bat it had limited to no means of access to the most popular platforms. And the main thing with all of this augmented virtual reality stuff is that you're supposed to be hooked in. You never want to leave.
Yeah, like, you would not see this. You 100% would not fucking see this if you were using the Apple Vision Pro. This is like Anthem levels of bullshittery when it comes to advertising their product. None of this was capable. None of this was possible in the Apple Vision. So they basically Apple pulled a fucking BioWare, is what they did. Look what happened to Anthem with BioWare.
You never want to escape the universe you find yourself in. It's supposed to be the ultimate feeling of dopamine, where everything you look, you're constantly wired in, always stimulated, playing games while you walk on the street, being in the cinema while you're on an aeroplane. This was the whole point of the Vision Pro, and it's why we made several videos talking about how this was such a bad idea to begin with.
Oh yeah, it
But
does
as there's no
exactly.
real compatible apps, it means right off the bat, the Vision Pro had limited to no means of access to the most popular platforms, which leaves you with kind of just nothing. Only a select few apps that's almost guaranteed to leave a sense of anticlimax. I mean, the pricing's bad enough.
Yeah, Zeb, I think I watched the same review that you did about that, where he showcased, like, I think he took, like, a photo, like a photo of his dad or something, and attached it to a wall, and the Vision Pro would leave it there, so when you left the room, it would stay there, but when you came back, you would remember where it was. Yeah, I think I saw the exact same review that you did for that.
And the fact that there's not even many reasons to be in this virtual world for long, with barely any overstimulation, combined with the fact that the Vision Pro only has 2 hours of battery life, it just feels like Apple wanted this product to fail. The battery is attached to the device and not only presents itself in a flimsy, unstable manner, but also contributes to its weight. The position and
Falcon, maybe on the, like, Apple Game Store, which is nothing. That's one thing that Apple has loved to tout. For the last probably 10 years, Apple's tried to say, you can game on this computer. But the only games you could play come from their own game center.
Sheer 100 constant supply of dopamine is the worst thing in the world.
Well, yeah, because then you find no interest in anything else. If you're constantly getting hit with dopamine, you become addicted. And nothing, and the world basically does not become worth living in. Finito, I doubt they would have had it. I bet you they wouldn't have even had it on the Apple Vision Pro. Because here's the thing, Apple has said for at least a decade, they've been trying to tout that their computer products, are for gamers. I don't know if I told you guys the story, but at my old job, where I was the computer technician, I sat in on a call with representatives from Apple for our company, where they were touting the new line of MacBooks. I want to say this was when the M1 chip was launching. I believe it was when they were starting to launch products with the M1 chip in it. And they were trying to tout all these values, all these great things. And they were talking about how, you can game on an Apple now. You can actually game. Gamers can get in this now. And when it came time for the Q&A, I asked the question, I said, what is your metric for gaming? Like, what kind of gaming can this thing actually handle? In comparison, like, what kind of load can it handle in comparison to, say, like a 3000 series RTX system in comparison with the M1? How is it able to how well is it able to handle a graphical load in comparison to this when it comes to gaming? You know what the response was? Owners can play games on the Apple Game Center store. It's gonna be great. they completely ignored my question and touted the living fuck out of the Apple Game Center. They've been doing this for at least a decade. Apple is not made for games. Unless they actually stick a dedicated GPU into the fucking thing, which they won't do because, at least not for a while, because then it's gonna go against their whole concept of thin and light, no, not bulky, our chip is awesome. Apple's not gonna be for games, other than like the mobile stuff. Flat out, and that's it.
The size of the battery gives the impression that not much thought went into this. It hangs so awkwardly, and if anyone turns too fast, you might be met with some battery bashing. Yes, you can put it in your pocket, but accidentally sitting on it might be an expensive lesson. It should have been made much more sturdy fitting on the device, and you think that despite all of these issues, Apple would at least try to ensure that the headsets actually sit on people's faces properly. But they didn't even do that right. Initially, the Vision Pro was meant to be released with a solo knit band with an adjustable dial that would offer a great fit and distribute weight evenly. But they opted for the dual loop band, which doesn't cover your head properly or even distribute the weight. Vision Pros weigh about 600 to 650 grams, which usually start to feel under the rise after wearing the headset for a short time. Of course, this will lead to bruising and pain if not lifted and shifted to ease the discomfort. The headband is all around you, and it's just more of a bother rather than a benefit. Now, it is actually possible to buy the original solo knit band Apple designed, but who wants to pour more money into a product that already cost a small fortune? It's crazy the design team never took the comfort of the product into account in the cost.
No. The design team probably did. The design team didn't give a shit about the cost. That's the difference. The design team was just designing. It was the marketing department and the financial department that said, okay, let's put this cheap-ass dual band, we'll have it come with the cheap-ass dual band, and then have people buy the knit band for an extra $100 afterwards. Brilliant! Yeah, the design team doesn't give a shit about the money. They're just designing and building the product. They have no fucking say whatsoever in what Apple's gonna charge for shit or how they're going to sell it. So that's disingenuous right there.
It just feels like Apple is trying to get as much money as possible at the expense of its consumers. And at the same time, this is far from the experience machine. It's ultimately just a boring augmented reality that there's not much even to do there anyway. All of this for reportedly produced headaches, migraines, and some neck pain.
No, Albrecht. It wasn't $700. You're talking about the was it the monitor stand or the, yeah, that was $1,000, not $700. They were charging $1,000 for that stand. Yeah. Like, one thing Apple you can count on is they are going to bilk the ever-living fuck out of people for money, for their products.
It just doesn't seem like there's any practical use for this in the long term. It seems more like a toy for rich people to buy that after a week, they would never use again.
Yeah.
But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor. You see, the most exciting thing about Cyber Monday is getting an amazing deal you wouldn't normally get, except with Raycon, because with Raycon, you get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But for Cyber Monday, they're stepping it up, offering you guys up to 30% off site-wide. So if you're looking for the perfect pair of earbuds, this is the moment to grab Raycon's everyday earbuds. I really love these earbuds because they come with an amazing 32-hour battery life, in addition to multi-point connectivity, which basically means I can switch seamlessly between
and having the hot big boo woman there smiling at you doesn't hurt, right, Raycon?
Plus, they also have active
Come on.
which is a total game changer. It's super ideal when you're in noisy environments. Personally, I use it a lot when I'm just on flights, as it really lets me focus without any distractions. And the design is beautiful. For me, I went with the sleek matte blue, which I've never really seen on other earbuds.
The design is like every other
It's way better than just
earbud.
sticking with the usual black or white. And at the same time, Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest audio names out there.
I remember you
They start
mentioning
at
about
half
that.
the price. So you're already getting incredible value before even factoring in Cyber Monday's up to 30%
forgot it was in like
off deal, which will come with the sleek protective case
you were
supports
loading up, I
wireless
think.
charging. With just
If I
10
remember
minutes
right,
of
it was,
charging, I
yeah,
get
you backed
90
up in your
minutes of
van, you didn't
playback,
realize
which
it
is a
was in the
complete
back compartment
lifesaver on
of your
busy
chair.
days. And
Yeah,
this is
I
why
remember you
use my
told us about
Raycons
that.
daily, whether it's editing, hitting the gym, or just listening to audiobooks on a flight. So if you're on the fence, don't be, as Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really
Yeah,
can go
I'm
on.
not a
Head
fan
to
of them either, Alex. That's why I'm using
buyraycon.com/moonyt
over
for
the
up to
ear your
30%
headphones
off
right now.
site-wide. And with a battery of 2 hours, it seems like long-term use was never even possible. You can watch movies in 2D, but let's face it, most great movies are longer than 2 hours. A lot of users even reported some motion sickness from the visuals. If you intend to do your work with the Vision Pro, it takes time to get used to all the features. 2 hours at a time, of course. And once you get
Okay. I'm gonna do a gimme here. Any VR, it takes time to get used to it when you first start to use it. VR in general, if you are not used to it, will cause you motion sickness. It causes it with me. I have issues with motion sickness when I use VR. So this is not strictly an Apple AirVision Pro thing. That's a VR in general the first time you're using it. So I'm gonna do a guinea on that one.
get into the swing of things, you will need a 1.5 hour break every 2 hours to recharge the battery. You could buy another battery at an extra cost and keep swapping them out, but it just seems so impractical for long-term use, and who wants to carry another battery around? And even if
I've
you
used
did
the
buy
Meta,
the Vision
Andrea.
Pro, you have to do a
I don't own
personalized
one.
facial
Or, sorry,
scan.
not Andrea, Wraith. I've used the Meta Quest. I don't own one, but I've used one. There's like a VR place about 20 minutes away from me, that I've gone to a couple times. They've got the Quest 3, so I've used that one. And it's made me motion sick, so I've actually kind of avoided it.
And to see which of the 28 different light seals work for the new Vision Pro owner. If this isn't done, it can impact the comfort
Demon,
level
I
and the
did.
amount of light leaks that can interfere with eye tracking. Now the obvious problem here is that it indicates that the Vision Pro is set up for one user only. Guests can use it, but they have very limited access, which could disrupt the settings. And while the Vision Pro does cater to FaceTime, a call won't connect to the headset automatically. It shows that the team overthought the practical uses and didn't even bother with certain features, FaceTime being one of the most critical. However, the design may be intimidating to use casually because of its exorbitant cost and fragility. Although the magnetic light blocking attachment is high quality, its general fragility raises concerns. If the Vision Pro is used during activities or handled
Elite in VR is fun. Like, I did try Elite with VR. I tried it once and I haven't tried it again because I did get really motion sick from it. But flying around in the Asp in the VR is really cool because, you know, you can look everywhere. And you can even look behind you and see the rear of your cockpit. The problem is Frontier is not developing it for VR anymore. It's like it can be played on VR, but unfortunately they're not doing further development with it, so they're not improving it at all. But it can be fun. Like if you use VR and you're good, like, and you don't have an issue with motion sickness, it can be a lot of fun. Like looking around your cockpit, flying around, jumping in a hyperspace, looks awesome. Seeing the stars in VR when you're out in space is awesome looking, but you can get motion sick from it, absolutely. So be aware of that. But it is available. You can still play Elite in VR. It's just they're not developing the game for it any further.
By someone unfamiliar with its parts poses a high risk. People walk into walls and doors distracted by the images, and one wrong move can damage the parts, and this would be an insanely costly repair. The keyboard also doesn't support alternative languages, so if you're not an English speaker or perhaps you want to change to your native language, this isn't actually an option on the Vision Pro. Now to be fair, this is probably why the Vision Pro isn't sold everywhere in the world, so the chances are most people don't even have the option to buy one. However, Apple does sell the Vision Pro in Japan, China, Hong Kong, and Singapore. The headset not catering to the language.
I got motion sick playing Power Wash Simulator in 2D. I had to change the crosshair settings to avoid that.
Really? Huh. And, Sick Jose, welcome. I hope you enjoy the live stuff too. And yeah, I mean, Jose, a lot of people, like, I include myself in this. VR, the couple times I've tried it, I've always felt motion sick afterwards. So it's, unfortunately, VR is just not for me because of that reason. I won't, you know, I might enjoy it initially, but then I start feeling ill. Like the moment I take the headset off, I don't feel good. So VR is just a no bueno for me.
which is a huge oversight. These basic fundamental functions were left off, and for the price, it just seems so unjust. As when it comes to Apple, consumers never expect them to cut corners. But unfortunately, Tim Cook's new Vision Pro, the thing that was supposed to be the new iPhone, couldn't even provide a good experience with the audio without the users having to buy another product. While it does deliver good sound, it fails to block background noise. To get a better experience, one would need to add a set of Apple's newest versions of AirPods. Another big expense.
Because of fucking course they would. Like, when I used the MetaQuest, the MetaQuest 3, I was playing VR with someone else at this VR place. The audio was great. The audio was fantastic with the MetaQuest 3, communicating back and forth with the person I was playing VR with. If the Apple Vision Pro cannot deal with the MetaQuest, which is like an eighth of the fucking price, you done fucked up.
To a better product that should have been factored in originally. And of course, the Vision Pro is only compatible with other Apple products, which might be fine if you're already an Apple user. However, if this is your first Apple product, you'll inevitably face challenges and disappointments. Even ordering the Vision Pro online can only be done via an Apple device unless you physically buy the product yourself from the Apple Store. And on top of that, there's also no USB to...
Okay, I didn't know about that. I was not aware that you could not buy the Vision Pro through an Apple device only unless you went to the store and bought it. That's new information for me. That is gatekeeping on a level I was unaware of. And it's just flat out fucking stupid. I know Apple products are widespread throughout the entire world right now, but why the fuck would you wall it in like that for people's access to it? But why in the holy of fucks would you do that? Well, no, it's not a monopoly tornado. It's their own product, and it's not the only VR on the market. But it's just fucking stupid. You're fucking placating the customer base that you're trying to cultivate. How fucking stupid is this? And by the way, this right here is an old-ass Apple that they're showing in this right here. Jesus, this is like a 2012 Apple, right? This is a 2012 MacBook right here.
a computer, which again seems like a huge oversight since most of us invariably need to transfer data at some point. In fact, that's one of the main selling points in all of the adverts. Even when connecting it to the MacBook, the AirDrop will stop working as soon as you remove the Vision Pro, which means you just keep it on your face until the task is completed. Even the eye tracking has issues. Selecting icons and hyperlinks can be tricky, and if incorrectly applied, it's such a frustrating experience. If you move the window up, you ironically roll your eyes as you go too far for what the device can cater to. If the Vision Pro is not fitted correctly, you can also reduce the device's calibration. Resetting the calibration requires way too many steps, and Apple didn't factor quick fixes into the Vision Pro's visual aids. Which is why it's no wonder that it seems like Apple is going to discontinue the Vision Pro completely, as it's just such a subpar product, and yet it's basically their most expensive product. All for a bulky, uncomfortable, not easy to use, augmented reality machine that's almost 10 times the product of their competitor the Meta Quest. But at least you can wear it while traveling, right? You can watch movies, go into different universes, plug in and drop out. That was the main point of the Vision Pro. It was the main issue of our concerns in our previous videos on the product, that it's the ultimate distraction machine. And yet the Vision Pro doesn't even seem practical for traveling, one of the key selling points in the advert, as you can't put the Vision Pro in your travel bag and think it will be safely tucked in. In reality, it just becomes an awkward and inconvenient experience, and the components are so fragile and not worth the risk of breaking in your travel bag. But also, who wants to wear the Vision Pro in public? There are a bunch of videos and TikToks going viral, showing people with their Vision Pros plugged into a different world while they were on public transport. And yet suddenly it seems like these videos have completely stopped. If you go outside, you almost see nobody wearing it anymore. People
because they bought these for the memes, for the TikToks. They realized nobody gave a shit, and they just pissed away $3,500 that they did not make back from their ad revenue. Oops.
wore it for a very brief time as almost a gimmick, but now it seems to be completely nowhere. Undoubtedly because you stick out like a sore thumb in the public eye, and almost seem like a complete weirdo who needs to be overstimulated at all times. And of course, compared to Meta's Ray-Ban glasses, you just draw so much attention to yourself. This isn't like wearing a pair of glasses. At least with Meta's Ray-Ban glasses, it's almost indistinguishable from normal glasses. And this is the key issue that Apple is facing right now. The Vision Pro stepped into the virtual reality and augmented reality.
Really? They were gifted then? Okay. Leo, there is a boatload of things I would spend $3,500 on rather than this. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but okay, no, actually I can. I would rather spend $3,500 on a decent setup for my streaming. A new desk, a new microphone, a new mic stand, a new chair. 35, I could probably do like I could probably completely re-outfit my entire PC setup for both work and stream with $3,500. Yeah, Rygat, a new model. I could use it for a new model. There's so much more effective things that I could get with $3,500. And Falcon, I would not want to watch High School DxD on it because I don't want to get dizzy from Rias's boobies flopping around in my face and I get motion sick. I don't want to feel sick when I see Rias's boobies flopping around. I want to get horny, not dizzy. That is the point of the Rias boobie.
Sector already under Meta's dominance. Meta's Quest range has secured a position with budget-friendly and user-friendly gadgets. The Vision Pro's emphasis on premium attributes isolated the general user base, pitting it against significantly more economical and user-friendly alternatives. And customers started dropping their Vision Pro and selling it once they realized there was really nothing they could even do with it. So what does Apple have to say about this? Well, Apple first projected that about 800,000 Vision Pros would sell out within a year. However, the low production yields and supply chain issues meant Apple could not even meet its own projections. By the time they'd sorted out these issues, the Vision Pro didn't quite have the same sway on buyers, and
Rose Party? Akino's hot. Rias is just the full package. She is so loving. Rias is best girl for me. 100%. She's gorgeous, she's kind, she's giving. She is the complete package. And she's a redhead. An anime redhead.
most people had already moved on from the Gimmick, and the customers that did buy it continued to complain.
Somebody help out Carboy, please.
To 400,000. One employee said they had suspended production of the Vision Pro components in May, and now production is expected to come to a complete stop by the end of November in 2024. CEO Tim Cook said that not everyone would take the new Apple innovation into their hearts, and he further explained that it was more of an early adopter product, meaning it was aimed at customers who wanted technology ahead of its time. And while this hasn't slowed Apple down, they are now deciding to hold off on the second generation of the model for a year, as they intend to release a cheaper, more advanced model in 2020.
Shadows and angles, anime girls. I like Pew. I'll take an anime girl before I'll take Pew. I'll be honest. I like me the anime waifus.
2027, and even aim to produce computer contacts in 2030. But it's almost a good thing that this doesn't work, as the dystopian future of everyone plugged in, overstimulated all the time, never turning it off in their own little isolated universe, seemed like a nightmare Black Mirror situation that was dawning on all of us. As if you think you're already addicted to your phone, constantly scrolling and watching videos, can you even imagine how addicted you would be with your own perfect universe created around your own tastes? And it seems like the failure of the Vision Pro shows that the public generally rejects this idea.
This was Apple was basically trying to, Alex, I think you said it, or maybe it was Alex, I can't remember. Had it right. Apple was probably aiming for the Ready Player One kind of situation. That's what it feels like they were angling for, honestly. And they failed miserably. It is what it is.